You're from Medfield, Massachusetts.
Yes.
And I'm thinking we probably have similarities in the way that we grew up in Massachusetts.
Sure.
And I'm also imagining big differences.
Mm-hmm.
And you talk about this in your book. You're growing up in Medfield, Mass.
Yes.
And are you the only Black student in your area, or did you feel like you were an alien that had dropped onto another planet, or did you feel comfortable?
At times, an alien, and then at times comfortable. I mean, first of all, yes. Outside of my siblings, yes, I was like the only one. There were 2 others in my entire school.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a level of it that was comfortable because that's all I knew, having grown up there. I was used to it. But then there's moments that happen as you mature and you grow and you start to notice like the absence of you, that you're wondering, why am I the only person here? Like, where is everybody else? Like, how come I only see them on the weekends when I go to these EBO meetings with my family?
Mm-hmm.
Or just even like in smaller things, I would watch. I remember there was one year, Disney, the Wonderful World of Disney, like on Sundays would do their movies. And they had done an adaptation of Pollyanna, an all-Black adaptation called Polly, and it was with Felicia Rashad. It's amazing, by the way. If you've never seen it, I love it. I have it on DVD to this day. It's called Polly with Felicia Rashad, Keisha Knight Pulliam, and Bryan Adams, who was like my first like crush. And I remember getting excited because my friends at school, we'd always watch all the like movies, whatever.
Sure, yeah.
And then I came one day ready to talk about Polly and nobody had seen it.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, how did you miss this genius work that just came out, but that just wasn't on the radar. So those were the moments where you started to notice the gaps. Yeah. I noticed the gaps, or like talking about hair or braids, or moments where people, I'd have like my hair out and then have braids the next day and they'd be like, how did your hair grow so fast? And I was like, I don't know how, I just realized that there was a different understanding of culture.
You talk in the book, which, congratulations, by the way, it's an amazing story.
Thank you.
And it's a beautiful story because you're really writing this. It feels like it's your story, but it's also a tribute to your mom, who passed in 2020.
Yes.
One of the first things that I clocked when I was reading the book is your mom, she died too early, but she got to see all your success.
That's right.
And to me, that's the big blessing.
Yes.
She got to see your crazy success because it was a long road for you. Mm-hmm. But I was watching or noticing in the early part of the book, you're talking about how you're uncomfortable with your name because people had a hard time pronouncing it. So you told your mom you were thinking of changing it to Zoe?
Zoe.
Yeah. Yes. And your mom had this genius response.
She had, and she was ready. I was in the kitchen. I had a teacher and friend, who just could never say it right. And it was like so, tough. And you just want to blend in when you're a kid. You don't want to like stand out for anything. I didn't anyway, when I was little. And I remember coming home and she's in the kitchen and I was like, Mommy. And she's like, And I was like, can you call me Zoe? And she was cooking and she stopped and she's like, why? And I was like, because they can't say Ozamaka. And without skipping a beat, my mother was like, if they can learn to say Tchaikovsky and Dostoevsky and Michelangelo, and they can learn to say Ozamaka. And she just went back to cooking. And it was like, the end of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like, mic drop.
Mic drop. A total mic drop.
Yeah.
And she had been through it before. I have an older sibling, my older sister. Her name is Oni. She wanted to be called Tony, and like,
well, that's just confusing.
The same.
Hey, Tony.
And she'd already said the same thing to her,
Yeah.
And what she was really just like establishing right there at the door was who you are is okay, is enough, and everybody better get used to it.
Good. God bless.
Yeah.
You were a good student, great athlete. You were interested, you very serious figure skater.
Yes.
For years and years.
Yes.
and you were interested in going to the Olympics and you had a lot of ability, and then your parents come to you and say, we can't afford this anymore.
Yeah. I'm one of 5 kids. And, we had a pretty humble upbringing. And already there were 2 of my siblings were in college. And it was figure skating is a very, very expensive sport for people who don't know. There's skates and ice time and coaches' fees, choreography, costumes, travel, adds up. And, my parents were doing the best they could, to keep up. But as the hours were growing, and just in that year when I had to stop, my coach at the time had said, she actually needs to skate more, put in more hours, and, we can see where this goes. And at that point, my parents were already, pretty stretched thin. And they were like, my mom sat me down at a competition and she was like, this is going to be the last one. This will be the last one. She's like, we can't afford it anymore. This is like a college education, we don't have it. And it was tough at the time, as a kid, you don't have that same understanding. And I didn't have the level of understanding or maybe even appreciation on some level of what had already been expensed and sacrificed for me. But when I look back on it now and think about it, I'm like, wow, there was skating, there was violin, there was cello, there was ballet, there was hockey. There were so many things that my parents saw when they came to this America, as my mom would always say, that as opportunities and exposures and experiences that just did not exist, wholly did not exist for them as kids, that it was like, wow, they did everything they could. They stretched it to the line to try and make it happen for their kids and just give them a taste, even if they couldn't serve you the whole meal. They wanted to give you just a taste of what the possibility of America.
Also, I have this theory that good work is never wasted.
Yes.
So if you, in this case, at a young age for many years, work very hard on figure skating and the training and the dedication and the repetitive repetitive honing of a certain skill over and over and over again is an amazing thing to learn. And that's going to be with you. Clearly, you take that because that doesn't work out, but then you get interested in theater and you apply that to acting. And so all hard work is preparation for something else. It doesn't, people get too literal and think, oh, that was all wasted because you're not a professional, you're not an Olympic figure skating champion. No. That all went into something else.
100,000%. Like having done track and field as well and figure skated like for so long, which are individual sports for the most part, like self-motivating is something that I've learned since I'm 5, you know what I mean? Good head talk, being able to like talk my head into doing something that I want to achieve, because you have to do that for the 3.5, 4 minutes on the ice. You have to develop a good head talk. You have to develop a good head talk when you're on the blocks running track to get your mind in the place it needs to be to achieve. And listen, guess what? If that's not true for me, I have a daughter now. I can shove these dreams onto her. Joking. I'm joking. Kidding, sort of. No.
Not really. You just be a total tiger mom.